Hey parents, students, guardians, whoever is using this resource, this is a real quick how-to about Google Docs. I'm Miss G, and if this video is helpful, do me a favor and go ahead and hit like or subscribe down below, or both, just to let me know you saw this video and it was useful to you. So now I'm actually going to share what our Google Docs look like. So this is from a student point of view, could also be a teacher point of view. Pretty much it's just a basic, this is what Google Docs looks like. If we open a blank Google Doc. Sometimes teachers are going to share a Google Doc that already has a name up in the top corner. I would recommend that if it does not have your name, you include that first. So I'm going to go ahead and type my last name up here. And whatever my doc is, let's write it as pretend essay. Just so that way we have it labeled, because it's going to go into our Google Drive, which will be featured in another video, and we'll kind of talk about that. But we want to make sure that we have our name on things, because otherwise, how do we get credit for them, right? And this makes it easy for both you and your teacher to identify who it is that's turning this in. Let me show you some of the features that come up in Google Docs now. So if you take a look, you can see we've got our regular sort of, here's a font to change. We have this to make the font bigger or smaller. These are kind of normal. If you've used Microsoft Word before, you've seen the same kind of things. There's a bold, there's an italics, right? There is changing the text color. So usually it starts as it's just a generic black text, but maybe you want to color it blue or something like that. You can do that there. We have the option to highlight text. So I'm actually just going to put some nonsense, not real words, into here to kind of show you these features. Okay, there's some beautiful weird letters. We can bold them, italicize them, underline them, all three, none of the three, right? Make them larger. We can change their color. Go ahead and set that back. We can also highlight them if we need to highlight them, right? So those are sort of features that come kind of standard, any kind of like writing program, right? Microsoft Word does the same exact thing. We can choose to center our text. So it starts sort of naturally. With this left justified, we can make it in the center, we can move it to the right, we can make it so it spreads the whole width of the page. We can also adjust line spacing. So if your English teacher asks for something specific, hey, can you make sure it's double spaced? Well, you're going to find that up here under this. It's got 3 lines and a little arrows that go up and down. If you need a bullet point, right, we have the option to do numbered lists, and we also have the option to do different kinds of bullet point lists. And then this is adjusting indentation, which again, if you're writing and a teacher is like, hey, there's a certain format to use, all those tools to format it are going to be featured up here at the top, okay? We have this little image. It looks like a square with like tiny mountains inside. That is notoriously the add an image button. It's the same way on Google Slides and Google Draw and maybe Google Sheets. I'm not sure right at this moment. And you can choose to search the web for something if you're looking for a particular image to add, or if you already know you have it in your drive, you can do it that way. Or if you have the URL, like you copied it from a web page, you copied that whole little header at the top, you can also insert it that way. Or if you have a camera on your device, you can go ahead and do it this way. Let's see, it asked me to use my camera, and now it actually sees my screen in screen. So even if, let's say, I held up my math homework like, hey, I did it, and you wanted to attach it and send that picture in, we now have that inherently in our Google Docs, which is actually super, super cool. Then I could just go ahead and take this little screenshot, push insert, boom, puts that picture in there, which is very, very cool. It's taking a picture from what it's reading as my webcam, right, which is also the view that you guys are seeing. Some other things that are kind of cool about this, we have a word count if you need to see how long it's doing, right? We can help you with citations. You have voice to text typing if you need that kind of resource as well. That's where we say something and then it comes up on our screen. So those are kind of, that's in this tools setting, and they're part of our accessibility options. We can also do reader support, which is really helpful if you have a long piece of text on here and you're like, hey, I'm struggling with this, boom, you can have it so that the computer reads it back to you. Similarly, this screen magnifier will let you actually like zoom in on things, and I'll show you right now how to zoom in otherwise. So the regular sort of zoom in button is up here at the top, and we can make this up to 200 where we zoom all the way in if we're struggling to read something. I think it comes sort of preset at 100%. And then also if you want to zoom out and be like, okay, how's my whole paper look? You can do that too, right? And zoom out. So and then we have the option to run a spell check. Highly recommend spell check. Okay. And you have the option, of course, to print. These are going to be our undo and our redo. So let's say you mess something up, you accidentally delete a chunk of your paper. Don't freak out. Push undo. It'll come back. It'll be okay. Okay. Yeah, and so these are some of our undo buttons up here as well. We have the option to paste and stuff like that that comes up top. And then we have like the option either up here or featured in this top corner to share our doc. And so sometimes we use that as a share, just send that straight to our teacher if that's what our teacher asks. Sometimes our teachers ask us to upload it on Google Classroom. So go ahead and check that out on the Google Classroom video if that's what your teachers are asking for instead. And then let's say you needed to make a copy of a document. Maybe they shared it to you and you have this little box up top that says view only. You're like, what do I do with this? You're going to come up to this file, come down to make a copy. And then that would basically make a copy of whatever you're looking at, but for you to type on, right? And then we go in, add our name, things like that to make it ours because our teacher maybe sent us a template or something like that. So that's sort of my quick rundown for what the heck goes on in Google Docs. It's actually a great sort of Microsoft Word alternative available on our Chromebooks and our devices, and it pairs easily to Google Classroom and makes it easy for us to turn in written work.